first. I witnessed Salvatore murder someone, and because of the code of silence, he couldn't just let me live to talk about what I saw. Either he'd have to kill me or make me join the family, so he chose the latter, she explained casually, as if this was an everyday conversation. I became an assassin of sorts for a short while before his father forced us into an arranged marriage. We ended up falling in love and the rest is history. I've got 5 kids now and I'm only 22. That says a lot, doesn't it? Wow. I blinked. Perhaps my life wasn't as bad as I thought it was after all. After just one look in her eyes, I could tell that Delilah had seen the worst horrors of the world. I had an odd talent for recognizing people who'd been through hell. Wow, indeed. She smiled genuinely, but I wouldn't change it for the world. The road to our marriage hasn't been easy, but it was so worth it. What about you, Enda? How did you meet Ilya? I asked. My story isn't nearly as exciting as yours or Delilah's. She giggled. Ilya met me when he was backpacking across Asia and decided to spend some time in Indonesia, where I grew up. He was engaged to a woman he hated and wasn't ready to join the family, so he ran away for a year, and then he met me. I was also supposed to marry someone I didn't like in order for my father to finalize a business deal, until Ilya came along and whisked me away. We've been married since I was 18. I'm 21 now. Now that is a romance novel I would read. I laughed. Same here, Delilah agreed. It's so wholesome. We're here. Enda suddenly let out an excited shriek as she glanced out of the window. Several guards hopped out of the car behind us when the limo pulled up outside a shopping mall. It's nice to be a normal girl sometimes, Delilah grinned. You know, going to malls and shopping. I miss doing ordinary things like that sometimes. The guards don't walk with us, in case you're wondering. It'll draw too much attention, Enda pointed out. They follow us from a distance so we can do our thing without people staring. Oh, I sighed in relief. It would be extremely weird and uncomfortable walking around a busy shopping mall surrounded by 10 heavily armed men. So where will we go first? There. Delilah pointed to a lingerie store without skipping a beat. We've got to prepare you for marriage. In other words, we'll help you choose the hottest looking shit possible so you can drive Nick crazy. Conquering a man like that is not an easy task. Oh, okay. I squeaked as the 2 women grabbed a hold of my arms and marched into the store. This is perfect for you. Enda held up a nearly transparent baby pink underwear set and wiggled her eyebrows at me. Pink is your color. I like that. I couldn't keep the grin off my face. And this? Delilah pointed to a sleep short so tiny it could pass as underwear. Wear that as if it's everyday clothing and act all surprised when your man becomes a red-faced, drooling mess. It's what I do whenever I want something and it always works. Nikolai isn't going to know what hit him, Enda snorted. This is a great help, I said. Really, it is. Us girls have to look after each other, Delilah replied while placing more and more underwear sets into my arms. Since we can't count on anyone else to do it. This, Enda exclaimed as she spotted a strappy black leather harness and matching underwear. I wondered how she always had so much energy all the time. The woman was practically bouncing off the walls. That, Delilah agreed. Save it for the grand finale when you finally make him your bitch. I might just wear it around the house for fun, I joked. Yes. Ruin him, Delilah laughed darkly. Make him beau. 3 hours and several stores later, the 3 of us were in a bridal boutique on the other end of the mall. I'd long since lost count of the amount of things I bought. Together, our many purchases could probably fill an entire store. So which style do you have in mind? Asked the shop assistant. I blanked. I hadn't given wedding dresses or even my upcoming wedding much thought. Until now, it had been easier to shut the topic away in the farthest corner of my mind. Show her a little bit of everything. Delilah came to my rescue, just to give her an idea of what there is to choose from. We were then led into a spacious showroom and told to take a look around. If I was being completely honest, a bridal shop was the last place I wanted to be. I couldn't care less about which dress I was going to wear on that dreaded day, as I didn't even want to get married in the first place. I simply played along, smiling and nodding each time I was presented with an even more extravagant gown than the last. "See anything you like?" asked Enda after I'd been aimlessly wandering around the store for a while. "I'm not sure." I frowned slightly, feeling quite miserable. "I'll help you then. I can understand that this isn't easy for you," she replied, "but it's either marriage or another form of service to the organization. That's just how the Code of Silence works, unfortunately." "I know," I sighed. "Join the family or die." "Got it, don't worry, things will always get better. I've had some pretty dark days too, but I always saw light in the end." She beamed, and I couldn't help but feel a little less unhappy as I found her perpetually sunny mood to be surprisingly infectious. "That one?" I pointed to the first dress that caught my attention because I was in no mood to bother with this wedding thing any longer. "Ooh," she gasped. "It's pretty. Delilah, get over here. This will look so good on you," squealed the red-haired woman as she gracefully ran to us from the other end of the store, despite wearing sky-high stilettos. After trying it on and getting prodded and poked with pins as my measurements were taken, I gazed at my reflection in the mirror. It was perfect, simple yet somehow also quite flashy at the same time, and the style complemented my figure well. I felt myself briefly looking forward to walking down the aisle, only because I wanted to see Nikolai's expression when he saw me. "You are absolutely stunning," Delilah stated. "Ethereal," Enda chimed. "You're going to be Nikolai's queen once you take his name, and you certainly look the part," said Delilah with a nod of approval. "I feel like a proud mom. After all this time, Nikolai has finally found a woman who has the potential to be his equal." "I hope you're right," I spoke. "I really do." "Oh, trust me, I am," she replied with a knowing look. It was then when I realized that for the first time in weeks, I no longer felt alone. I actually had people on my side for once, even if we didn't know each other all that well. Somehow, and perhaps it was because of our similar circumstances, I felt as if I'd known Delilah and Enda all my life. If only it could be as easy to get along with Nikolai as it was to get along with the two of them. 13. 14. The house was unusually quiet for a Saturday night. Usually when Nikolai was home so were his men, and they definitely weren't a quiet bunch. Now, however, silence hung heavy in the air and I wondered where he was, or rather, what he was getting up to. I'd briefly seen him early this morning but decided not to make conversation as he looked to be in an absolutely awful mood. But curiosity had eventually gotten the best of me and I found myself tiptoeing down the dimly lit hallways in an attempt to find Nikolai. If I got caught, I planned on saying that I was only out of my room to get a late-night snack. It didn't take long before I realized that I actually really wanted a snack, and since I hadn't had any luck locating the Russian giant, I headed straight to the kitchen. When I got there, the first thing I noticed was the scent of cigarette smoke in the air, but the lights were off and the kitchen was so dark that I couldn't see a thing. I spent the next few minutes using my phone to search for the light switch but had little luck. Just as I was about to leave, there came a voice from the end of the room. "Looking for me, Princessa?" asked Nikolai, as I let out a startled shriek and accidentally dropped my phone from fright. "Fuck's sake, Nikolai." I doubled over, clutching my chest as I tried to regain my composure. "Why are you there in the dark like a creep?" "I'm watching the moon. It's full tonight," he replied with an accent thicker than usual, still making no move to emerge from the shadows and into the light. "And I like the darkness. When night comes, good things follow. The night is a time for pleasure, passion and pain, especially if it's after 12. Are you okay?" I trailed off as I took a hesitant step towards him in the darkness. "Perfectly fine," he mumbled. "Now why are you here at this hour, Kroshka? Little one?" "I wanted a snack," was my response. As I neared him, I picked up the familiar scent of his cologne, mixed with cigarettes, alcohol and something else that I couldn't quite put my finger on. "I will be snack," he said matter-of-factly. "Get on your knees and craving will be satisfied. 100% guaranteed." "Oh my gee," I started, but was cut off as I felt his arm grab me around the waist and pull me to his side. "You are warm," he stated. "Yes?" I frowned, although I couldn't properly see his face because of the darkness. "Soft." He prodded my waist. Very nice. Are you drunk? I questioned. Duh. Yes, a little, replied Nikolai. Just some vodka. How many shots is a little? Due to our close proximity, I could feel his abnormally fast heartbeat. 4. 5. Maybe 6, no 7, I think. I can't remember all of them. He shrugged. A real man does not count with vodka. You drink until you wake up next morning with empty bottle. I couldn't help but find his broken English cute, even if I wanted to strangle him. What's got you drinking alone in the dark like this? I asked. Is everything all right? I remember too much. He slapped the side of his head with a little more aggression than necessary. Today is the anniversary of the death of my family. I can't get their screams out of my mind, and it is many years later. You were there? I gasped softly. No, which is what makes it worse. I was here in America when they died, but I was supposed to be there. I was sent recordings of their torture and deaths for months after that. Nikolai spoke slowly. I didn't plan my trip and left on the last minute. If I'd planned it better, I could have been there to keep them safe. I could have had more guards placed at the house, but I was here, being an idiotic child partying my life away. Did you get to kill the people who killed them? I could no longer resist the temptation and gently stroked his soft brown curls. Yes. He nodded. I had to wait for many years to find their weaknesses because they were the most powerful family in the Russian mafia back then, but I got my revenge. So did Delilah. They hurt Delilah too? Their leader, Dmitry Ivanov, the most vile creature to ever walk this planet. He was obsessed with her and nearly killed her. If he'd succeeded, I would have no family left. She is like a sister to me now, even though I only met her when we were both already grown and Dmitry was dead. Nikolai explained, and then went quiet for a bit before continuing. Salvatore killed Dmitry and I killed most of his remaining siblings, saving my youngest sister's killer for last. Those bastards raped and tortured my sisters, so I gave them a death just as painful and humiliating. My youngest sister was just 12 when she died. She barely got a chance to live. All 8 of my siblings and my parents were dead in 3 hours. Just like that. And I did nothing to stop it. Nikolai. I didn't know what to say. What could I even say to that? So instead of speaking, I wrapped my arms around him. He seemed shocked by the affectionate gesture, as I'd only ever sent hostility his way. He was not an easy person to like or befriend, and had made my life a living hell since he met me, but deep down inside I felt a strange urge to comfort him. Almost as if I wanted to take all of his pain away. Was this Stockholm Syndrome? Nikolai's insanity was beginning to make a little more sense now. Who could possibly be sane after witnessing such horrors? You smell nice, he spoke after a few minutes of silence, in which all I could hear was his deep breathing and rapid heartbeat. Like candy. Thanks. The corner of my mouth tilted up slightly. I want another shot, he then announced and quickly pulled away. Nikolai, no, I exclaimed. Nikolai, yes. He let out a manic cackle and knocked over a few things as he tried to search for his vodka in the dark. I'm turning on the lights, I warned when I finally located the light switch. No. His yell morphed into a low hiss as the garish white artificial light flooded the kitchen when I flicked the switch. Is that Coke? My eyebrows shot up when I saw the pile and a few lines of white powder on the countertop, beside a large bottle of vodka, a knife, some questionable-looking pills and a bag of weed. The best in the world, but don't tell Salvatore that. My brand of cocaine is powerful. It's good shit, he said proudly and scratched the hair on his bare chest. Why didn't he have a shirt on? I wasn't complaining as the man was absolutely flawless, but now was not the time for me to get horny. I thought drug dealers don't really use drugs. I fought to pull my eyes from his rippling muscles. I love drugs. He grinned. Not as much as I used to, but once in a while they become my best friends in times like this. Now I know where I saw you from before, I said. Ah, yes. You were busy doing handstands at the stop street because you're a fucking